Sleep well, Mr. Farm Manager. Oh, my beauty, got a bonus for you tonight. Brought 4 lovely young ladies to visit you.
Right, he must have had the time of his life. Be like me with all line of chorus girls locked up in an hotel room for the night.
Hey, you dirty old man, Jess. I didn't know you still had fantasies like that.
Oh, I'm not dead yet. Not even dead on my feet. Unlike that bull, eh, Ted?
It's no joke.
Come on, lad, you've got to see the funny side
He's
of it.
not getting away with it.
It seems to me he already has.
Oh, don't worry. It's nothing nature won't sort out in a couple of hours. Well, I've got plenty of calls to do this morning. I'll be seeing you, all right?
Aye. Aye, take care.
All right.
Do us a favour, Jess. Don't mention this to anyone.
Oh, I'd like to oblige you, lad, but I can't see as it'll make much difference. It'll be all round globe when Vet goes in for his lunchtime pint. Does he always come out to you so quick?
So he should on what Mr. Hastings pays him through the year.
Aye, money talks. I suppose if I paid my vet bills a bit quicker, they'd do the same for me.
I'm going to police, you know.
You've met yourself more of a laughing stock than you are now, Ted.
Bill Sullivan's been getting away with it for too long.
How do you mean?
He knows nought about farming and he thinks he can learn at our expense. He pinch anything he can lay his hands on. Hay, silage, straw.
Aye, I did have a bale or two go missing myself, but still you can't be sure it's him, Ted.
I can, and I'm going to put a stop to it. Farming's a business.
Not to me, lad.
Some of your herd needs serving. That's business.
I suppose so.
Him sneaking those scrub animals of his in here at dead of night. Well, that's trespass. But it's stealing. Well, call it what you like. It's got to be a crime, and I'm going to go to the police.
You are sure that's why your bull couldn't,
You heard the vet.
That's okay, then. Only if it was something else, I might have been able to help you, Ted.
How do you mean?
Well, wife's put some stuff out for church jumble sale. And there's a lovely little handbag in there that'd just suit that bull of yours.
Well, frankly, I'm rather surprised at your attitude, Jean. I thought you'd be pleased to have him with you.
Oh, don't mind me. I've just got this natural aversion to whiz kids.
Aye, the lad's mustard, all right. Outstanding cadet, top marks in his sergeant's exam. You give him 10 years, he'd probably outrank the pair of us.
Meantime, he just drops my patch for a few months. It's just going to look on us as a sort of waiting room for crime squad. You realise that?
Now, don't prejudge him. OK, so maybe he needs some rough edges knocked off him. But he's the sort of lad tomorrow's force is all about. Wheel him in, shall I?
Right, sir.
Come in, Sam.
Thank you, sir.
Sergeant Bloom. This is Inspector Darbley.
Pleased to meet you, ma'am.
Morning, Sergeant.
Isn't there somewhere else we can go and talk?
What's wrong with here?
Mr. Hastings' right, Bill. Why don't you go into the sitting room? I'll bring you a cup of tea in later.
Anything he's got to say concerns you as much as me.
As you wish.
Right, come on then, let's get on with it. Still got a lot to do today.
Yes, you have taken on a bit too much, haven't you? Pity, because I admire what you tried to do.
Oh, yeah?
It's not even as if you've got farming in your blood. What was it you did before you came here?
I was in demolition.
There are families who've been on the land for generations, wouldn't attempt what you're doing.
Yeah, well, we can't all afford a farm manager. I mean, some of us have to do it all ourselves.
You're wrong. I know what goes on my farm. And I know what you're trying to do can't work. You're too small.
In which case, we'll find out for ourselves in the end.
It'll be too late then. You'll have lost everything. Now, please, accept my offer. It's the last one I'll make, Sullivan.
I like it here. I don't want to sell.
There's more to life than cleaning ditches or milking cows. I'm putting the village shop up for sale soon. There'll be a lot less work for you, Mrs. Sullivan.
Look, if we wanted to buy a shop, we'd have stayed in Birmingham.
Perhaps that's just what you should have done. I'll say good day to you, Mrs. Sullivan.
Won't you stop for a cup of tea? The kettle's on the boil.
Another time. I'll leave you two to discuss this between you. Perhaps your husband would be interested in a woman's point of view.
Now, don't get upset, sir. I'm just trying to work out what needs doing.
I'll tell you what needs doing. You've got to get down there and sort him out.
But you've got no evidence that this Mr. Sullivan was responsible.
Ask any of the farmers round here. He's the only one who'd pull a stunt like this.
Yes, but we do have to work on the facts, sir. I mean, I don't understand much about farming. Is this some sort of test the vet can do to see which cows were involved?
What's the trouble, Martin?
This is Mr. Hastings' farm manager, Sarge. They've got this bull,
Hastings Emperor the Fourth.
and it seems that one of his neighbours got his cows onto Mr. Hastings' land last night and broke into the pen where this Hastings Emperor was kept.
Get away.
Must have been quite a night, Sarge. Because by this morning, the bull wasn't really interested in performing his duties at all.
Yes, well, that does present us with a problem, sir. Difficult to know exactly how to frame the charge, you see. Have to look that one up, I think. Bound to be a reference to it somewhere. Under animal husbandry, perhaps, or sexual assault.
Of course, you might find it a bit quiet round here after your previous postings.
Oh, I don't know. It's all a question of attitude, really, isn't it?
How do you mean?
Well, I reckon there's always plenty to do in this job if you look for it.
Maybe, but if you look for trouble, you sometimes help start it.
Sorry.
Part of your job is to be involved in the community. You get more cooperation that way.
Oh, I know all about community policing, ma'am.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, it's all right, up to a point. But I don't reckon it's part of a policeman's job to be everybody's friend. You can end up turning a blind eye when you should be nipping things in the bud.
That's about a lot.
Well, thanks very much.
Don't mention it.
Ah, Sergeant Bloom, just the lad I was looking for. You busy this evening?
No, ma'am.
Good. Then we'll have a chance to show you what community policing really means. Some of the lads help out on the day centre outing. Driving, lifting wheelchairs, that sort of thing.
Suppose I'll be roped in as usual?
Of course. I've been invited to sit in on the committee meeting tonight. It'll teach you something about good public relations, David.
More like boring to death.
He's got to get used to that, too. Besides, he will have one very important job to do.
Oh, what's that, ma'am?
To get me out before Mrs. Sangers pins me in a corner afterwards.
I reckon a forklift truck will be your best bet for that.
Excuse me just a minute. You were supposed to be rescuing me from her.
Yes, well, that didn't look too easy.
I'm disappointed, David. Mr. Logan said unarmed combat was one of your specialities.
Nobody give you a cup of tea, Mrs. Dabler?
I'm just going, actually.
Ah, I see. Well, it was good of you to come at all.
My pleasure.
I think it's all gone quite well, don't you?
Kind of you to let me use the house for the meeting, sir.
More convenience than kindness. I've had to have several business meetings here today, so it saved me a little bit of travelling time.
I see.
I've had a computer installed. As you can imagine, it's caused a bit of an upset.
I can imagine.
At least you're moving with the times.
I had it installed on Ted Margett's advice. Bright young man. My profit's been looking up since I took him on.
Well, they will do. More people should realise that microtechnology is just a new sort of servant, not some sci-fi monster. See a real revolution then.
You and Ted might have a lot in common. Of course, he does tend to take things a bit too seriously, hence that little upset.
Not at all. If an offence has been committed, he has every right to report it and expect something done.
Well, it is a valuable animal. We're selling him for AI, artificial insemination, as you know, and I think that Ted was a little worried that that fiasco might have upset the price. A question of infection and so on.
Of course, if he's that valuable, you really ought to think about tightening up your security.
Sort of male chastity belt, did you mean?
Wasn't quite what I had in mind.
Well, security's not easy, especially with 1,600 acres to look after.
No, but you really ought to think about it, Mr. Hastings. Your insurance company would have a fit if they could see how easy it would be to break into this house.
Don't tell me you've been sitting there all night counting the number of locks that can be picked.
A good police officer never goes off duty.
You really ought to do something about it, you know.
Well, I'd be happy to consider any suggestions you may care to make.
Sergeant Bloom here is acting crime prevention officer. I'm sure he'd be only too pleased to get things organised.
I do, Jess. Hey, Just the man I wanted to see.
Oh, aye.
Plenty of spuds.
Enough.
I'll be out sometime to buy up my winter supply. 4 of them 25-kilo packs should do it.
I'll put some by for you. 4 half-hundredweight.
Oh, aye. I was forgetting you won't go metric. Started using decimal money yet, have you, Jess?
One is decimal, all right. Else it wouldn't go so damn quick.
What can I do for you?
I had a bit of chain-link fencing over in my west field. Somebody's pinched it.
Oh, yeah?
Won a lot, you know, just what was left over. Only had a couple of repair jobs in it that had just suited.
I see. Mafia moved in up your way, have they?
You what?
We don't normally get you blokes in here from one month to the next. Now, all of a sudden, we've had 3 farmers within a week reporting petty thieving.
We're entitled.
Of course you are, Jess. Right. Get down a few details, shall we? Chain link fencing, you say?
Aye.
How much was taken?
Just what was over, not a lot. 4 or 5 yard, maybe. Could be more, could be less.
And when was it taken?
Hard to tell, really. I mean, you never notice something's missing till you need it, do you? Been up there a month or 2.
You don't want to leave stuff lying about, Jess. It's an invitation to thieving.
It's my land.
Yeah. It's not going to be easy to find out who took it, though, is it? Not on what you've given us. It's all a bit vague.
I know who took it. It was Bill Sullivan. His land borders onto my Westfield, and it was seeing him doing repairs that reminded me I had a few.
Well, why didn't you say so in the first place?
He's not a bad lad, really. He's just bitten off more than you.
How do you mean?
Well, there's not a lot of money to be made at what he's doing. Look, I'd just like one of you lads to go up and have a quiet word with him. Let him see he can't put things right at other folks' expense.
I see. Spuds will be ready when you want them, Joe.
Well, that's good, you know, because real lead can be stripped away and then, of course, the individual pain removed very easily.
Well, what's the verdict, Sergeant Blue?
Well, I've seen worse.
Good.
Then again, I've seen a lot better. I don't know if there's a market for hot combine harvesters, but you've got a lot of valuable equipment here that could do with more care.
Oh, well, Ted's the man to talk to about that. He runs the farm.
I've been taking notes, Mr. Hastings. It all seems pretty sensible.
And you'd be wise to spend some money in the house, too. Front door's like Fort Knox, but that's not the way they'd come in. So I've suggested bars on all the windows.
Right.
Of course, I'd favour an electronic system myself. Some of the new ones can even differentiate between different sounds.
Really?
Yeah, mind you, they are pricey. But you're always going to have problems here with the place being business as well as domestic. You got people coming in and out all day.
Yes, well, we have had rather a lot of pilfering over the last year or so, but then with a business this size, I suppose I've just got to write that off.
No, and we do take on casuals. Then there's a relief milk.
Well, you should at least try to get people to be more security-minded. Open door, for instance. Invitation to a thief these days.
Yes, I see enough of that as a JP. Still, it would be a sad world if we couldn't trust anybody, Sergeant.
You don't always do someone a favour by trusting them, sir. I'll leave you these leaflets to be getting on with them.
Boots! How many times have I got to tell you to get your mucky boots off before you come in here?
Blimey, you're in a rotten mood tonight.
You went out without opening the post this morning.
Yeah, well, I've got a lot on at the moment.
Well, let's hope it's profitable.
I managed to scrounge some spares for the tractor up Old Vickery today. They're not easy to come by. Now I used to carry them on the ark.
Is it working now?
What, the ark?
The tractor.
Yeah, just about. Vickery let me have them cheap so I could buy my pint. That's where I was at dinner time.
I wanted to talk to you.
Talk away.
Rates, water rates, electricity.
Yeah, thought they were about due.
Overdue. We've had the red ones. These are the dear sir unless. Of course, there's other ones back there, but they're being more polite about it at the moment.
Well, at least the gas board ain't threatening to cut us off.
We haven't got gas.
Just trying to look on the bright side. Look. We knew it was going to be hard for the first couple of years.
I thought I could maybe try and get a job for a while.
There's not much about. I ain't got enough work to do here. We both have.
We've got to do something.
Saved by the bell.
if I come in? Mr. Sullivan, innit?
Yeah, pull up a chair.
Would you like a cup of tea?
No, not for me, thank you, Mrs. Sullivan. Don't let me stop you, though.
Don't worry, you won't.
Is there something wrong?
A few local farmers have had things go missing. Bits and pieces, you know. Bale of hay here, bit of silage there, a few yards of chain link. Have you had anything nicked?
Nah, not that I've noticed.
Oh, you've been lucky then.
Yeah, looks like it.
Then there was that business with Mr. Hastings' bull. You must have heard about it. It's the big joke in your village.
Yeah, I think somebody did mention it, didn't they, love?
You haven't got very many cows yourself, have you, Mr. Sullivan?
No, just the 4. We haven't got much land. 0 graze what we have got.
Yeah, it's a specialised market. We sell all our produce through health food shops. We do a very good line in cream cheese with walnuts. Perhaps you'd like to try it?
Not at the moment, thank you. Where do you get your cows served?
I can't remember the name of the place exactly. Applebrook Farm, I think it was, something like that.
Well, there'll be a record of it, won't there? And you could take me to meet the owner of the bull. I think, what with all the jokes that have been going about, Mr. Hastings doesn't want to hear too much more about it, so he's not keen on pressing charges. He's entitled to the serving fees, of course. I'm afraid the beast has a pedigree as long as your arm, so it doesn't come cheap. Still, it'd be in your interest to settle up as quickly as possible. As to the other bits, I don't see much future in dusting bales of hay for fingerprints. But if it gets to be a habit, we'll find out who's doing it, and he'll be inside so fast his feet won't touch. I'm sure you know what I mean. Good day to you, Mr. Sullivan. Mrs. Sullivan?
Hey, Jess! Jess! Have you got a minute?
What do you want?
It's about that bit of chain link I borrowed.
Oh, aye.
Yeah, well, it had been lying about so long I didn't think you noticed. But Kate reckoned it was well out of order.
She's right, lad.
Fence is down your side on that Westfield again. I thought if I fixed it, we could call it quits.
That sounds fair enough.
After all, we don't want to fall out, not now we're in the same boat.
How do you mean?
Well, I hear Hastings after buying your place and all.
Oh, he'll buy out everybody round here in the end.
Yeah, you mean that damn manager of his.
Oh, Ted's all right. His father used to own the lead farm, you know.
Oh, what?
Aye. Hastings bought that place up while Ted was away at agricultural college. Bit of a shock for the lad, I suppose. He was hoping to get that place himself.
Yeah, well, he's gone over to the other side now, hasn't he? With bells on.
Happen it suits him. I mean, he can do things now he'd never have started on his own, that's for sure.
Have you heard his expansion plans? Battery ends, intensive field. It's factory farming.
Some people call it progress, lad.
Not you, though.
No. I've been with stock all my life, and I reckon every creature's entitled to its bit of freedom. Still, it's his land.
Look, if everyone talks like that, they'll own half the country before long.
Probably will anyway. Let me give you a bit of advice, lad. It's not worth getting angry over things you can do nought about.
It's hard not to when I spent all week scraping enough money together to pay them serving fees.
Better than having the law round your neck, isn't it?
Oh, I'd like to stuff it down Ted Margett's throat.
Happen to be enough room, too. There's a big mouth on him, as Ted.
You're still £5 short.
You what?
You got to pay something for the inconvenience. I don't know anybody else who expects to get their cows served in the middle of the night.
You know how hard it's been for me to get that money together?
Go back to the police if you prefer.
Three.
That's better, Mr. Sullivan. Pleasure to do business with you.
Look, I wouldn't ask if I didn't have to, but...
No discounts, very sorry. That's not how we do things round here.
You're checking on casuals, ain't you, to knock them buildings down?
Aye, I'll be sorting out this afternoon.
Well, demolition used to be my trade.
But you didn't stick to it.
Look, I could do with a few days' work. I haven't even got enough to cater house.
Very kind offer, Mr. Sullivan, but I think I'll have enough applicants to choose from.
Whatever you think of me, I'm a good worker. I'll do a better job than anyone else you'll get.
Clear off, Sullivan.
Look, you've had your money. At least give us a break now, will ya?
Said get out.
What are you trying to throw me out?
You want a charge of assault to everything else the police have got on you?
What's the matter, Marge? It's can't you fight your own battles?
Not when I got the police to do it for me. I don't keep a dog and bark myself.
Ah, you creep.
Get out, Sullivan. I never want to see you on this farm again, understand?
I'll make you sorry. However long it takes, I promise.
You think so? Well, we'll see. We'll see who's sorry, Sullivan. Right, now these show each of our different crops. For instance, winter barley, winter wheat, oilseed rape. At the press of one more button. The decision disc will tell us our exact requirements for the next 12 months. And to the last penny, how much we're going to spend and how much we're going to make.
Very impressive. Suppose you'll be looking for a large rise in salary next year.
Bill Sullivan turned up this morning.
Oh, aye. Came to pay his debts, did he?
He had the cheek to ask me for 3 days' work.
And did he give them to him?
Well, casuals, 10 a penny just now. Besides, I wouldn't use him if he were the last man in the county.
Well, he must have been a bit desperate to have asked.
No, he's on his uppers, all right. Started threatening me when I said no.
Well, do you think we ought to see the police again?
No, it's just hot air. Man, I shan't be sorry to see the last of him.
Oh, we could have a long wait. He's a very stubborn man, is Mr. Sullivan.
Stupid, I'd call him. There's no way he could make a go of that place. But people like him shouldn't be given good farming land, even if it is only a few acres.
Ah, but useful acres, remember?
You mean the access agreement Jess Redfern's got with him?
Aye, well, I'd want the same if I bought Redfern's place. Can't just transport stuff for miles just to get to a main road.
Well, I can't see us getting any agreement with Sullivan.
No, but wait a while and we may be able to buy the land from the receiver when he goes bankrupt.
Solve a lot of problems all round.
Aye. Well, is that all you wanted me for?
Except for your signature. I'll need the cash to pay the casuals.
Right.
Been quite a few calls for you while you've been out, Mum. They're on your desk.
Anything urgent?
No, not really. Mrs. Sanger's been round in person.
I was lucky to miss that, wasn't I?
She's on another diet. Gave me a calorie-by-calorie breakdown of me 11s. Took all the fun out of it.
Oh, that reminds me. I got you a present.
What is it?
Cream cheese with walnuts. It's local.
Sullivan's Dairy. Oh, the Midnight Cowboy.
It's a present from his wife.
She's okay. Got her hands full with him, though, I reckon.
Well, let's hope she can keep him in check from now on.
There was one other thing, Mum.
Oh, yeah?
Young smart Alec's been giving me the benefit of his theories on police procedures.
Sergeant Bloom, not the most tactful of souls.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he's a great time and motion expert, but we're quite happy muddling through in our own way here.
I'll mention it.
I've seen a few of the programmes.
Oh, yeah.
By accident, you know, when I've turned on for something else.
You sending me up?
Just a bit. How long will it take you to get your degree?
About 6 years.
Let me now. You're not married, are you? Why don't you get out and enjoy yourself while you still can?
This'll do my career more good than down in pints.
Got to sergeant quick enough anyway. There's a lot waited years after they passed the exam.
Means a lot to my parents, me getting on. Anyway, there's nothing wrong with being king.
Oh, nothing that experience can't cure anyway.
Hartley Police. Right, sir. We'll get somebody round there straight away.
Yeah, well, it's always the way with only children, isn't it?
Ah, just the man.
Trouble?
Yeah, and I'm afraid it's not much of a compliment to you.
Eh?
You did the crime prevention chat at Hastings' place, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, he's just been burgled, and his manager's been assaulted. You better get round there and pick up the pieces.
Right.
Feel better for that, do you?
Much.
Sergeant?
How are you feeling now, sir?
Still a bit shaken up.
Ah, well, we'll get some details down. As soon as we do that, sooner we can get whoever it was.
We're all a bit quick.
We'll just start at the beginning, try and remember as much as you can.
Well, I went into town, I had a few things to do for Mr. Hastings, and I got the money out to pay the casuals.
And how much would that be?
Not a lot, just for the day. 80-odd pounds all told. Got back to the office. The place was... well, you can see the state of it. I came in this door, and there must have been a bloke behind it. Well, he came at me sharpish, whacked me in the stomach, and took all the wind out of me.
Did you get a good look at him?
Oh, I think he was wearing one of those ski mask things. Like I said, it were a bit quick. I've got this old satchel that I carry the money in. He grabbed that, pushed past me and ran off. Shouted for help, but there was nobody about. Then I heard a car start up in the lane.
I see. Did you see anyone when you arrived? I mean, did you notice a car then?
I wouldn't expect to see anybody. I mean, all our blokes are at work at that time of day.
What else was taken from the office?
Well, we've checked around. There's not a great deal of value to take. I mean, a bit of petty cash, a few stamps. My guess is he was giving the place a good going over when Ted here interrupted him.
But there are a few papers missing. No, they're not worth a lot, but they'll cause a lot of bother.
And the money? How many people would know you'd be carrying cash in that satchel?
Oh, anybody could have worked it out. I mean, we always pay our casuals cash by the day, and with unemployment as it is, well, the word soon gets round when we need labour.
So we're dealing with a pretty long list of suspects then?
No, I'm not so sure. I know most of the chaps round here, and I don't think many of them would get involved in a thing of this sort.
Well, we get a few drifters, of course, and...
And?
I just thought of something. I said I heard a car. It didn't start first time. Sounded like a bit of an old banger.
Well, there's plenty of those about.
Oh, but I know someone who's got one. I'm not saying he'd do a thing like this, but... well, he did turn nasty the other day. He wanted a few days casual, and I said no.
Sullivan?
Right.
All right, sir. Perhaps you'd like to tell me what you've been up to today.
What's all this about?
Mr. Hastings' farm office has been burgled. He's had some papers gone and some money nicked.
Bill wouldn't do anything like that.
I didn't say he had. Just needs a bit of cooperation, then we can eliminate him from the inquiry. Well, sir?
I don't keep a minute-to-minute diary of me day.
I'm not expecting one. Just a rough idea, eh?
Well, had a few jobs about the place, you know.
Like what?
I finished the milking about 8. Then I was bringing in the last of the spuds.
Anyone confirm this?
No, work on my own. Don't have any farm labourers here, you know. We're not like Hastings. We do it ourselves.
I see.
I met Jess Redfern. Chatted to him for a bit.
What time would that be, sir?
About 11, I suppose.
And after that?
Had a few drinks at dinner time. Maybe too many. Look, it's difficult to pin things down to the exact minute.
Well, perhaps I can help. One of the labourers at Mr. Hastings' place says he saw your car parked in the lane by the farm. Now, what would you be doing up there, sir?
Look, we've had a few problems lately, and I wanted to get a few things straight in my mind, see? So I went for a drive and then I walked down by the river there.
Now, even though Mr. Margits had made it quite clear he didn't want to see you up there again. It's a bit thin, isn't it? Look, everybody knows how you feel about Hastings and Margits, so why choose to go walking up there when you've got land of your own? And where's your car now, sir? It's not outside, is it?
Be in the car park at the Globe. I told you I had too much to drink. I walked back.
Oh, yes. I was forgetting what a keen walker you are. Look, Sullivan, I don't think you've quite understood what's going on. The game's up. This is where you say you got me banged to rights and all that rubbish. You sign a statement like a good lad and we all get home early for once. We've got enough to charge you with. We got enough for a conviction.
Well, why didn't you get on with it then?
Because believe it or not, I'm trying to help you.
But why didn't you charge me or let me go?
It's like the man says. We're trying to help.
We know all about you, though. Got a bit of previous, haven't you? Eh? D&D, the odd punch-up.
OK. So I'm a bit daft when I've had a few drinks, but this is different, isn't it?
Oh, you're dead right. This is a serious crime. Now, you keep spouting not guilty, and that is public money wasted on a trial with a result as clear as day. Now, people are fed up with this sort of thing, you know. Nobody's going to be sorry to see you get put away for it.
So what's the alternative? Perhaps it's a bit closer to the truth. You got made redundant. You've had a hard time trying to start a new life. You've got a wife to support and you're well in debt. It was a spur-of-the-moment job and you're sorry now. OK, you spent a few bob in the pub, but you'll pay the rest back. Plead guilty and look for mercy. You've got to have a better chance than trying to tough it out.
I didn't do it. I never went near the place.
Oh, sorry, just going home, are you?
Yeah, was it important?
Well, I don't know. Mrs. Sullivan asked if you could see her CID is still talking to her husband.
There's not much I can do by the sounds of it, George.
No, it looks like a teen sympathy job. I can handle it.
No, it's all right. I'll see you. I've forgotten what an early night's like anyway.
Mrs. Sullivan, Mum.
Come in, Mr. Sullivan, sit down.
Thanks for seeing me.
That's okay. But I should tell you at the start that your husband's case is a CID matter, and I don't think there'll be much I can do.
I see. Look, Inspector, I know Bill seems wild, but there's more to him than that.
There usually is, love.
I know him better than anyone. I know his good points, and I know his faults. I've had to live with him long enough. He might get into a scrap when he's had a few drinks. But they say he went to the pub afterwards this time.
He did threaten Margers. He's admitted that himself.
Yeah, well, doesn't that tell you something? He's not a criminal. He wouldn't do something like this.
I'd like to believe you, but there is a lot of evidence pointing the other way.
Yeah, well, maybe you haven't heard all of it yet.
Look, if you know something that might help, for goodness sake, let's hear it.
I just know. Sorry to have wasted your time, Mrs. Darplay.
George, will you ask Mr. Logan if you can spare Sergeant Bloom for a minute?
Would you like a cup of tea while you're waiting, love? Might be some time.
No, I ought to be going. One of the cows has got mastitis, and I'd like to have got the vet out, but we haven't paid his bill in a while. I'll come back later.
So you did talk to Mrs. Sullivan?
Of course.
Did she tell you anything at all?
Well, I didn't expect her to. You're not going to get anything out of a villain's wife, are you?
That depends. She seems a nice enough woman to me.
No, the thing is, she knows he's guilty, so she's just clammed up tight.
I reckon there might be more to it than that.
No, it's all right, man. We can get a result without her help.
All right, Sullivan, let's have it again from the beginning.
No, not again. You don't believe me, so what's the point?
Convince me. How did the bag get in your car?
I don't know, unless one of you lot put it there.
Don't come that
Save it, lad. Why did you go up to Hastings' place?
I told you, for a walk.
You don't like Margits, though, do you?
Well, that's not a crime.
You threatened him, that's a crime.
So I lost me temper.
You went up there to get your own back.
No.
Mrs. Darpley.
There isn't much time. If you know anything at all, we've got to follow it up now.
The thing is, I don't know if it's going to help or make things worse.
Well, you're the only judge of that, as long as you keep it to yourself. But from where I'm sitting, he needs all the help he can get.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sending you on a pub crawl, George.
Oh, thanks very much.
I want you to flush Eddie Parsons out of whatever bar he's settled in for the night.
Bit of Globe of the Crown and Sceptre, I should reckon. He's banned from most of the others.
Well, when you find him, bring him in. I want a word.
Right.
Quick as you can, eh?
Right.
Matter of fact, it suits us fine. Maybe if Malado kicks his heels in a cell for a bit, he'll come back feeling a bit more cooperative.
He's obviously lying.
You reckon?
Of course he is. Trying to make out I planted that bag in his car?
You mustn't be so sensitive, David. You get accused of all sorts in this game. Manufacturing evidence, beating up suspects, taking bribes. You just do your job, keep your head down.
That's what I try to do. Mind you, with respect, sir, I don't see that Inspector Darbley should be involved in this. It's not her case.
You've still got a lot to learn, son. Don't you take your cue from the Flash Boys on Crime Squad, zooming around in fast cars and calling the uniform branch wooden top.
But, sir, it's...
But nothing. This is still our case. We're having a cup of tea and a biscuit, that's all, taking a well-earned break. Now, meanwhile, if Inspector Darbley likes to clock up some unpaid overtime, that's her business. I mean, she might turn up some fresh evidence that will save us a lot of bother.
Yes, sir.
Never look a gift horse in the mouth, David. Just make sure that you get the credit for it. That's what cooperation is all about.
Waste of good drinking time, is this?
You make up for it, Eddie. Sit down, please. If we wanted to find you in the middle of the night, you'd be propping up a bar somewhere.
Aye, and you'd make damn sure landlord lost his licence and all.
It's not after-hours drinking we're interested in tonight.
Mind you, when we are, this is the bloke to follow.
Don't know what you're on about.
You've been taking on an apprentice, Eddie.
Apprentice?
You could teach these youngsters a thing or two, eh? Eddie Parsons, king of the poachers. There's none better than you, they tell me.
Aye. Take a lifetime to learn what I know. Not that they're going for that sort of thing anymore, do you understand?
Don't give us that, Eddie. You'll not retire till you're 6 foot under.
That won't be so long now. Not the way my chest's been playing me up.
We know you've been poaching today, Eddie.
Knowing's one thing. Proving's another.
Yes, well, we haven't done that too often in the past. And we're not really interested in doing it tonight.
Then what did Sergeant Parrish come dragging me out of a nice warm pub for?
Burglary. And assault.
You what? Hey, I'm not in that league.
No, but you are the only one who could help us get at the truth.
I don't know what you're on about. Besides, why should I help you?
It's Bill Sullivan you'll be helping, and before you jump to any conclusions, it wasn't him that gave us your name.
I can believe that. He's not a bad lad, for a brummie. Hey, it's never him you've got down for this.
He's in the frame at the moment.
Well, I'd like to help the lad, but I don't know what I can do. After all, I didn't see no burglary.
Let's start when you and Sullivan met up this afternoon.
Yes, someone's reported it earlier, madam. There's an officer on his way. No, you did the right thing. Yeah, thanks very much for calling.
More trouble?
Not really. Bit of a disturbance at a youth club disco. Nothing a couple of heavy metal records wouldn't put right by the sound of it. How about the Sullivan case? That all cleared up now?
I reckon we're on the last lap, yeah.
Well, I thought we'd see an end to it. No way helping you.
Don't you start.
Thank you for coming in at such short notice, Mr. Margett.
I'd like to see this cleared up once and for all.
Oh, I'm sure we all would, sir. I expect you'll be pleased to hear that Sullivan has accepted my advice and decided to plead guilty.
Oh, that just about wraps it up then, doesn't it?
Not quite.
Well, if he's admitted it, I don't see what else you need.
Oh, I think you've misunderstood us, Mr. Margett. Bill Sullivan has admitted to poaching. That's why I was on Hastings Land this afternoon.
But that doesn't prove he didn't do the burglary.
No, that's very true, sir. But, well, there was another man involved with the poaching, and, when we came to look at all the statements, we were left with a few inconsistencies.
We're hoping you'll be able to help us clear them up.
Naturally, I'll do whatever I can.
As far as we can make out, Sullivan met up with Eddie Parsons, and they decided to go up to Mr. Hastings' land and do a bit of poaching.
Oh, not for the first time.
No. They took Sullivan's old banger and parked it just off the lane. You probably saw it when you got back from town.
I'd have mentioned it if I had.
Oh, I think he wanted you to see it, sir. It was a bit like the incident with the bull. He was thumbing his nose at you.
Oh, he's got it in for me. He's shown that already.
Now we come to the first inconsistency. Sullivan never went back to the car. They got themselves a brace of pheasant, and Eddie, being the smart lad he is, he'd already got a buyer lined up. So he took them down into the village in the car, leaving Sullivan to go down to the Globe on foot to get the first couple of pints lined up.
We've checked their story against the Times. It all fits.
So we're left with person or persons unknown. Or we would be, if it wasn't for inconsistency number 2. The bag and the mask.
How did they get into Sullivan's car? That did seem the clincher, after all.
And what about those farm records? I mean, what the hell would Sullivan want with those? The Beano's more his mark. I mean, who stood to gain from their loss?
Just what are you trying to make out?
Well, this is just a theory at the moment, sir, so you stop us if you got a better idea. You came back. You realised they were doing a bit of poaching. You'd had a belly full of Sullivan. You should have phoned us there and then.
But you saw a different sort of opportunity.
All right, Mrs. Sullivan, you can take him home now.
Thanks.
That would be grateful if we didn't have to see him again.
I'll be keeping a tighter rein on him in future, don't you worry.
Bear in mind, you might not be so lucky next time.
Yeah, reckon I owe your inspector, eh?
Well, don't try paying her back with pheasant or rabbit. You're back in them cells before you can say knife.
I had no idea. I thought Margits and I got on quite well together. Comes as rather a shock to find out that he hates me.
You took over what should have been his farm. At least that's the way he sees it.
So to pay you back, we reckon he's been lining his pockets at your expense every chance he got?
At first, Bill Sullivan's habits made him a useful scapegoat. But the business with the bull made Margits look a fool. So when he saw a chance of getting Sullivan put away and getting rid of some farm records which could have been incriminating, he took it.
Plus another 80 quid into the bargain.
Can you prove all this in court?
Oh, I think so. Sergeant Bloom is a whiz with microchips. You might be surprised what he can coax out of your computer.
Bit to learn about people, though, ma'am.
We all have, Sergeant. We all have.